to send out the bat phone. You know, a bat light, some sort of search beacon to let you guys know I'm on. Maybe a red star cluster. Who's out there tonight? You guys ought to go to bed early. Hey, Martha. Hey, Wayne. Dale. How are you? Janet. Come on, folks. Hey, Dale again. Aaron. Gwen, Matthew, Karen. Hey, guys, it's Jim with Crawfordology, where we talk about the things that you care about. And from time to time, Facebook decides that you guys can hear it, right? So from time to time, you will actually see that we show up and you can be made aware of it. And I'm going to show you some of that stuff tonight so that you kind of understand. I know you hear this all the time from a lot of different people. Hey, if you haven't done it already, please like and subscribe. There is some relief, at least a little bit of relief that I've seen kind of going along with Facebook. But we'll jump in here and kind of show you guys some of that. So I hope everybody's been doing well. You know, it's don't forget to set your clocks back tonight. You know, we're gonna jump lose an hour of sleep tonight. I love that. Hey, if you haven't been there before, make sure you come visit us over at American One. We've got a whole lot of stuff happening there. Of course, you can see all the craziness that's been going on or that continues to go on about every day. And read the articles. There's some great stuff there. We also have old videos. And folks, we are working diligently on a couple of things for you. And some of those things are, I think, exciting. I think they're things you'd like. When we can't see you, you can't see us on Facebook, at least there's going to be an alternative. We've got to get that chat down. You guys have all asked for that. So soon, hopefully this week, fingers crossed this week, we will have the chat up and a couple other things that are coming. So glad to be with you guys tonight. So glad that so many of you are still awake. And we're going to jump right into it. So I know you've been watching, there's so many things going on. I want to talk first about the Biden administration and Psaki. Psaki. I don't know. Every time I see her name, Psaki. Jen Psaki, the press secretary. So for those of you who don't know who Andrew Cuomo is, I'm sure you all know Andrew is the son of Mario, and kind of a long time political dynasty there in New York State. And Andrew Cuomo is the governor of New York. Of course, I know you guys are all well informed and you know this. So have any of you seen? Well, I'm just going to share it with you, so we'll just watch it together. How will that be? And Jen.
A number of influential New York lawmakers, including Representatives Nadler and Ocasio-Cortez, have now called for the resignation of Governor Cuomo in the light of new allegations of harassment, including one that was referred to law enforcement. My first question is simply this: does the president believe the governor should resign?
The president believes that every woman who's come forward, there have now been 6, I believe, who have come forward, deserves to have her voice heard, should be treated with respect, and should be able to tell her story. There also is an independent investigation that is ongoing, of course, in the state with...
No, wait, Jen, the question wasn't about that. It was, do you think the president thinks that Cuomo should continue? It wasn't about the women.
Subpoena power overseen by the Attorney General, and he certainly supports that moving forward. We, of course, have watched the news of a number of lawmakers call for that, but I don't have any additional announcements from here.
A follow-up on this, in light of the investigation, in light that he has had some of his pandemic response powers taken away, does the White House still have faith in Governor Cuomo if he remains in his position, overseeing the response to the pandemic in the state of New York?
Well, we certainly don't want anyone in the state of New York to be penalized, meaning not have access to vaccines, to vaccinators, not have access to funding from the rescue plan. And certainly we will continue to work with a range of officials to get that done and get it implemented. But The president and our COVID response team works with governors across the country, including Governor Cuomo, to implement these plans, and we'll continue to do that.
Why is it I feel like we should have heard Porky Pig? Yeah. All the way here, she is talking about kind of nonsense. It's all very politicized answers, all driven towards making it seem as if, well, things are fairly normal, really, in New York. And of course, we want those women who are coming out in droves to have an opportunity to talk about what may or may not have happened to them. And well, I really don't want to say what Joe Biden thinks, because I don't know that he really has an opinion on this. They're pretty close friends. The idea that these folks on the left are able to even keep a straight face when they have these conversations is unbelievable to me. It's unbelievable. So I want to go now to, and I hate to play this, it's a little CNN clip. It's Jake Tapper. And this is back during the Kavanaugh allegations. And I just want to hear, well, you know what? It's about 4 minutes long. I want you to hear it. And I want you to see the difference between how Jake Tapper of CNN takes on the issue. Let's just go to the tape. And well, before we go to the tape, but I want you to see how he takes on the issue and how he frames everything for the viewer at home. All right. So look at how he frames the viewers, or frames the issue for the viewers, when we're talking about Brett Kavanaugh and the allegations that he had, as a teenager, had some sort of sexual, whatever. You guys remember the deal.
It's Jake Tapper from CNN State of the Union and factcheck.org, and this week we're going to take a look at two claims made by Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh having to do with the allegations of sexual assault made against him when he was a teenager.
Fact-checking
Let's start
a
with
teenage
the claim that
memory.
Kavanaugh made multiple times during that Senate hearing that all of the people that Professor Christine Blasey Ford identified as having been at that party in 1982 have denied that the event in question, the sexual assault, took place. Take a listen.
I just want to reemphasize, all four witnesses who were allegedly at the event have said it didn't happen. It's been investigated, and all four witnesses say it didn't happen. The core of why we're here is an allegation for which the four witnesses present have all said it didn't happen.
Is that true? Did all the people identified as having been at that party in 1982 by Professor Blasey Ford say that the attack, quote, didn't happen? No, that's not true. That's an exaggeration.
It's an
Now,
exaggeration.
It is true that not one of the four people Ford has named as being in the house at the time of the alleged sexual assault.
Wait, I just have to say this. While she has her right hand raised and she's swearing in to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, didn't she retract this statement later?
Has corroborated her allegations. In fact, all four of those named witnesses have said that they don't recall the attack. They don't recall attending the party. But saying you don't recall an event is very different than saying it did not happen. Let's start with the two people that Professor Blasey Ford says participated in the alleged assault: Brett Kavanaugh and his friend at the time, Mark Judge. Now, Kavanaugh has, quote, categorically and unequivocally denied the allegations, and Judge, after the hearing, submitted a statement.
Okay, so I get that, Jake Tapper here is not a fan of any Republican, right? He's just not. Okay, now let's see how Jake Tapper treats Como.
We just saw a small but respectable number of politicians willing to break with their partisan allegiances and criticize an intimidating leader in the face of loss of life.
Wait, before he even says anything about Como, he's got to get a couple digs in here towards Republicans and Trump.
I'm not talking about the 7 Senate Republicans who voted to convict Donald Trump. Senators Burr, Cassidy, Collins, Murkowski, Romney, Sasson,
Not
Toomey.
talking about those guys that
talking
wanted to
about
convince Trump.
the small number of Democratic officials in New York publicly expressing outrage after the latest development in the scandal surrounding New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, and the numbers of New York nursing home residents who were fatally infected with COVID. You may recall the Cuomo administration last March told nursing homes, quote, "No resident shall be denied readmission or admission to the nursing home solely based on a confirmed or suspected diagnosis of COVID-19, unquote." Nursing homes took in thousands of seniors with COVID, potentially infecting thousands more, such as 89-year-old Norman Arbini. After the Cuomo directive, his family pulled him out of a nursing home after he already had gotten a fever, and Arbini died at home from COVID. Now, did he get COVID because of Cuomo's directive? We don't know for sure, but his family says it's not rocket science.
It was the absolute worst decision anybody could make in a time of a pandemic.
It's, of course, impossible to exactly ascertain how many nursing home deaths are linked to the Cuomo directive, and certainly part of the reason is that the Cuomo administration's, quote, published nursing home data reflected and may have been undercounted by as much as 50%, according to fellow Democrats.
Now, I have to say, it's really interesting here in a couple of different areas, because what this was supposed to be about was the indecent behavior of Cuomo. The clip is 6 minutes and 27 seconds. We'd have to run towards the end of this to get anywhere near him saying anything that seems negative for the president or for Cuomo. And odd that the president himself hasn't been able to come out against this, because the president had tons of things to say about Brett Kavanaugh and all the things that should have happened, just with Christine Ford actually claiming, you know, think about this for a minute, folks. She's going back 40 years approximately in his life, back to teenage high school years. So we have high school years versus 6 women who've all come out recently, many of them in his current group of, no longer supporters, but one of them, at least one of them, a current staff member. So what about those women? You know, what happened to the idea that the Democrats would just pounce? I mean, where are all those people that were around Christine Ford, all those attorneys demanding action, demanding something happen? You know, I'm curious to see just what our group here thinks. How many of you believe that Cuomo's going to actually survive this? And I'll tell you, I'm not sure. I'm not sure, because I would have thought that Bill Clinton couldn't survive the Monica Lewinsky, right? Getting the Lewinskys in the Oval Office, that's sort of seems like that's an unlikely survivable argument for a president, right? That, hey, I realize she's only 20-something and I'm 50-something, but I'm not sure if Cuomo's going to survive this or not. And you know, in better times, we would probably say it's certainly gonna, you know, it's gonna take him down. If not the idea that he pushed folks back into nursing homes with COVID, the idea that he did, you know, assault or I guess unwanted advances. Apparently has a problem just kind of keeping to himself, right? He's got 6 women now coming out. And folks, these aren't Republican women. These aren't women from high school or grade school or college. These are women from recent times. But where is the outrage? Where are all these folks? I can't imagine. I can't imagine. Now, so what does a leader do when they come to these moments? Well, finally, it's been about 50 days, I think now, since Biden's been in the White House, still hasn't had a presidential press conference where he's taken questions and talked to the audience. That's because he's probably not really able to do that. So what does a president do? Well, a president has to create another issue, right? If COVID is about to come to an end, there has to be another issue. Now, I want you to listen to this clip. And this comes from the press conference a couple of days ago. So just listen to hear what he says here.
Kids haven't seen their friends. The things we used to do that always filled us with joy have become things we couldn't do and broke our hearts. Too often, we've turned against one another. A mask, the easiest thing to do to save lives.
It's coming, folks.
Sometimes it divides us. States pitted against one another instead of working with each other. Vicious hate crimes against Asian Americans
There
who've
it
been
is.
attacked, harassed, blamed, and scapegoated.
Wait a minute. Vicious hate crimes against Asian Americans?
At this very moment, so many of them are fellow Americans. They're on the front lines of this pandemic trying to save lives. And still, they're forced to live in fear for their lives.
Will you guys leave the Asians alone? Who is doing this to the Asian Americans? This is the first I've heard of it. I mean, we've had everybody else being, beat down. The transgendered, the Black Lives Matter, the, anybody who wanted law and order in certain Western cities like Seattle. But now you guys are really taking on Asians? I mean, who is safe these days? Who is safe?
Down streets in America. It's wrong, it's un-American, and it must stop.
Please stop. Leave the Asians alone. I have many, many Asian friends. And for God's sakes, will you wear a mask? Will you wear? I can't even believe Joe has his mask off right now. He should be double or triple or quadruple masking. I would feel more comfortable right now if Joe had many masks on. But let's hear a little more.
Look, we know what we need to do to beat this virus. Tell the truth.
Wait a minute. We know what we have to do to beat this virus. Okay, now, I think President Trump did that Operation Warp Speed that got everything really moving. Fastest, you guys know what happened. I mean, we actually had the fastest mobilization of the healthcare system and all of its arms and tentacles, everybody reaching out to build a vaccine, to make a vaccine that was viable and was helpful. And now Joe and Kamala like to come in and claim that none of this was really happening. So he's telling us right now how we're going to beat this virus.
Follow the scientists and the science. Work together.
Wait, would that be like Fauci? Because wasn't Fauci like wear a mask, don't wear a mask, double mask, oh, don't wear a mask, do this, don't do that. No, do this. To me, follow the scientist. Anytime there's scientists who contradict one another, they take them off of Facebook. They take them off the social media platforms. So if you aren't singing in unison with the Biden administration and the World Health Organization, you're out.
Put trust and faith in our government to fulfill its most important function, which is protecting the American people. No function more important. We need to.
I'm just at a loss right now. Faith and trust in our government to protect the American people.
Remember, the government isn't some foreign force in a distant capital.
Okay, the government isn't some foreign force in a distant capital. Okay.
No, it's us, all of us. We, the people. For you and I, that America thrives.
Is it just me, or does Joe Biden always speak in these platitudes, but it's like he's pulling a sentence from here and a sentence from there, and he just kind of links them together and they almost don't make sense? It's like he pulls out a verse from the Bible and then something from a founding father, then something from a childhood story, and then something from some, social justice warrior about somebody done somebody wrong, right?
We give our hearts, when we turn our hands to common purpose. And right now, my friends, we're doing just that. And I have to say, as your president, I'm grateful to you. Last summer, I was in Philadelphia and I met a small business owner, a woman.
No, he wasn't. He was in his basement.
I asked her, I said, what do you need most? Never forget what she said to me. She said, looking me in the eye, she said, I just want the truth. The truth. Just tell me.
Wait, so Joe says that he met a woman last year and all she wanted was the truth. You know, all I need is the truth. Do you think that's true? Do you think that's true? I find it difficult to believe, right? Because I'm pretty sure that
you can't handle the truth.
Yeah, right. Right. Joe, you can't handle the truth, so you can't give it out.
The truth. Think of that. My fellow Americans, you're owed nothing less than the truth.
And a couple $1 trillion.
And for all of you asking when things will get back to normal, here is the truth. The only way to get our lives back, to get our economy back on track, is to beat the virus. You've been hearing me say that for while I was running and the last 50 days I've been president. But this is one of the most complex operations we've ever undertaken as a nation in a long time. That's why I'm using every power I have as President of the United States to put us on a war footing to get the job done. Sounds like hyperbole, but I mean it, a war footing.
You're fired.
And thank God we're making some real progress now.
Wrong.
In my first full day in office, I outlined for you a comprehensive strategy to beat this pandemic.
China.
We've spent every day since attempting to carry it out. 2 months ago, this country didn't have nearly enough vaccine supply to vaccinate all or ever near all of the American public. But soon we will. We've been working with vaccine manufacturers, Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, to manufacture and purchase hundreds of millions of doses of these 3 safe, effective vaccines. And now, at the direction and with the assistance of my administration, Johnson & Johnson is working together with a competitor, Merck, to speed up and increase the capacity to manufacture new Johnson & Johnson vaccine, which was 1 shot. In fact, just yesterday, I announced, and I met with the CEOs of both companies, I announced our plan to buy an additional 100 million doses of Johnson & Johnson vaccines.
Wait a minute. Why would we get 100 million doses of Johnson & Johnson vaccines? Right? I mean, I'd like to know how many doses we're buying as Americans, right? We got about 330 million people. I understand some of those people have to have 2 doses. Some people get 1 dose. Some people get no dose.
These 2 companies, competitors, have come together for the good of the nation, and they should be applauded for it. It's truly a national effort, just like we saw during World War II. Now, because all the work we've done, we'll have enough vaccine supply for all adults in America by the end of May. That's months ahead of schedule.
Let's see if that
and
happens.
We're mobilizing thousands of vaccinators to put the vaccine in one's arm, calling active duty military.
Hey, I don't need 1,000 people to put that thing in my arm.
FEMA, retired doctors and nurses, administrators, and those to administer the shots. And we've been creating more places to get the shots. We've made it possible for you to get a vaccine at nearly any one of 10,000 pharmacies across the country.
Okay, folks, I can't take any more. That's really enough. It's enough. Or you guys have seen all this anyway. It's a couple of days old. So the thing with Biden, and I think he learned a little bit of this from Trump, or from not from Trump. He learned a little bit of this from Obama. So Obama would really try to reel in the, the emotion, make people feel like, man, I'm here for you. I feel it too. And he's doing the same thing, right? He's doing exactly the same thing. So he's trying to pull it in. Most of the things he's saying, I'm watching the comments here, and you guys are not being fooled by this. It's just blather. It's just foolishness. Hey, here's the thing. At the end of the day, you've got to decide what's right for you in terms of the COVID. And, some of you will want to take the, any one of the drugs that are out there. I know there's a number of different vaccines, and some of you will not. And I'm okay with that. You know your risk group. The thing that I'm for is that as an American, we get to make our own decisions. We get to say, hey, I want to do this. I don't want to do this. So in the speech, they go on, and then later the Democrats would come on to say, hey, you know what? It's going to be back to normal by the 4th of July, and maybe you guys can have a cookout. Maybe you guys could have 8 or 10 people at your house by then. It's ridiculous because they have no right to tell you can't. You can have 200 people at your house. They have no right to say that you can't do that. If you have 200 people with their own free wills who decide that, yeah, I'm willing to come and get together to celebrate what once was the liberation of our country, or the beginning of our country, and free people. So I don't buy a lot of what's being said here. This brings me to my last topic. So the other problem that we have is with big tech. Now, I've talked to you all before, and I just want to blow up my screen here a little bit so you guys can see this. Okay. Now, this is actually the Crawfordology page, and it's something called page quality that comes off of the Creator Studio. So if you have a Facebook page like we do here at Crawfordology or at American One, they give you a lot of feedback. And here's what they say. So when I tell you, we used to do a live stream and we would have 2,000 people or more, and now we have a live stream, and I think our high point was about 500 people today, which I was kind of excited because it was about 400 last week. And here it is. Your page has reduced distribution and other restrictions because of repeated sharing of false news. People will also be able to see if a page has a history of sharing false news. So what these big tech folks are doing is they're saying, if you don't agree with us, if you don't follow, just like Jake Tapper said there on the Kavanaugh, Kavanaugh said, hey, these 4 people can't, they all say it didn't happen. Well, that's not what they said. They said they don't remember it and don't remember being at the party, and they don't remember any sexual assault. They didn't say it didn't happen. That's different. It's sort of like when Facebook said, hey, when we said, what's the deal with these suitcases that they pulled out from under the tables in Georgia on election night and started counting after everyone was gone? And the fact checkers came in and said, wrong, not suitcases, they were ballot boxes. As if that was the important thing, right? It wasn't the idea, why did they pull these things out at night and start counting? It was, hey, those were not suitcases. Those were backpacks, right? Those were whatever. The point was still valid. Why did they do it after the observers were gone? Why did they pull them out from under a table? It just doesn't make a lot of sense. Hey, Shelley, good to see you. So I see Shelley Neal's here. She's a avid watcher, and she just said, hello, Jim and Cynthia. So I had to say hi. So the point is that this is what's happening is we have big tech in concert with China, in concert with the Democrats, all singing the idea that, whatever they collectively say is what's going to be pushed out as the truth. And if you say something other than that, they will find a way to shut you down, to limit you, or as Facebook says here, to reduce your distribution and other restrictions because of repeated sharing of false news. So here's the interesting thing. When you're having this conversation with Facebook, and I've been going back and forth with them through an email, it's very difficult. It's not like you can just say, hey, tell me exactly what it was that you didn't like. because I should be able to click a button here and learn exactly what that was. And there's no button to click. There's nothing to find out other than false news, right? So it doesn't even give me the example of, hey, you did this, this, and this. It's just fake news. You fake news, pal. So it's where we are in the world. Hey, I want to go to the comments because I haven't been with you guys for a while, at least not with a great group. It's been short groups, short podcast, and we're really trying to get things settled down. Hopefully this week we'll see that. I see Valerie Kenworthy says Biden can't even remember he got the vaccine before he was president and now takes credit for it. But remember some woman in Philadelphia that wants the truth. Sorry, lady, but you were asking the wrong guy. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, Valerie and Kamala, or Valerie, not Valerie, sorry. And I didn't mean to say Valerie and Kamala in the same sentence. Biden and Kamala both get the vaccine, and now they're acting as if, well, we just got this thing worked out. This was the most ineffective president ever to be seen, and we just don't understand it. Tammy Crawford says, I'm still hoping the election gets overturned. Tammy, I think if the Lord Jesus came down to earth tomorrow and we would have a better chance of being swept up into heaven than having the election overturned. Sadly. Yeah, so tonight, Biden announces, or this afternoon, Biden announces that he's sending FEMA and National Guard down to the border to care for those immigrants that are coming across in droves right now. Because really, I was joking at the beginning of this about having the bat light, some sort of search beacon so you guys would know I'm on because Facebook isn't sending out the message. Well, Biden was sending out that message to all South America all through the political season that, hey, we want you here. Come on. Well, now they're knocking on the door and they're going, hey, Biden said we could come. And they've got a huge storm down south of the border. Not only do they not have facilities to take care of all these poor children that are being locked in cages that were built by Obama, but they also don't have food, medical care, and, it doesn't matter that we haven't really treated our own people for COVID. Let's bring in a few 100,000 more that are probably COVID positive and see if we can just go ahead and get that spread, throughout the United States. And hey, what do you know? Cheryl Coyle says she never listens to him. I don't know if she's talking about him or me, but since she says him, I think she's talking about Biden. Carol Creed says Trump now. Diana Lister, why are they pushing the vaccine so damn hard? Yeah, very strange. We are getting the vaccine pushed very hard. I know a lot of people who've taken the vaccine. I'm not afraid to take the vaccine. I think there are people who need it worse than me, so I want them to get it first. We'll keep going on. And I know there's a lot of conspiracy theories about the vaccine too. I get it, and I understand how you would be very suspicious of anything that comes out of the current White House mouth, especially coming from probably the other side, like me, right? So Betty Ray Crisp says, I've had 2 of my doctors tell me to not take the shot. It's not safe. So there are some people who say that. There are some people who say that for sure. I've heard it myself. And I know, I'm smiling as I read down through the comments. I think if we held the election again today, everybody on this stream would still vote for President Trump. And I understand the president was actually getting an award today, President Trump. I didn't see what it was, so I've got to get back out on that and kind of figure out what's happening. Elizabeth Matheson, patriot and Trump and freedom lover in Alberta, Canada. Wow. all the way up from up north, loving on Trump. Daryl Bolin, not my president. So I think that there are lots and lots of things that are going to keep coming, going to keep showing up here. Let's stick close and see what happens over the coming weeks. You know, I'll say Biden doesn't look great. I'm wondering why we haven't had a State of the Union address. You know, this is a great time to actually, I'm curious. Tell me what the State of the Union is. I hear these Democrats take this approach, you know, that there was a huge military mission, basically, back on the 20th of January to overthrow a coup, right? And I don't know how crazy these people would be to foolishly start a coup without weapons, or one or two weapons. Seems to me if there were a coup, there would have been armed revolt, or, you know, a group of people not wielding backpacks and cameras and cell phones and snarky comments, but they would have come ready to do something. It's strange to me, and it's really troubling to me, by the way, when I see the Democrats and some of the Republicans, those 7 Republicans he named off. Mitt Romney comes to mind. Olympia Snowe comes to mind. I'm not saying that the people who ran into the Capitol building did the right thing, but what I'm saying is the people. Well, I'm not saying they did the wrong thing either. The people who were in there breaking things, tearing things up, yeah, that's wrong. But for the people who went in, oh, I see David Gomez. I love David Gomez. Are you voting Republican yet? You know, it's only a matter of time. It's a matter of time. So what I do see is that you know, some people who were very unhappy with the outcome, very uncertain about what happened, and as they went through that, they decided to express their unhappiness with their elected representatives in the people's house, right? So they went to the seat of power to petition physically, to have a conversation, to discuss, to protest with the people who had the power to change it. And instead of hearing them out, the people cowered and ran, and the people who were there petitioning were made out to be essentially rebels, right? They not just were they angry people, no longer were they U.S. citizens, they were rebels, right? They were people prepared to have a coup d'etat just because President Trump was not being elected by the Electoral College. I don't think that's true, and I think it's terrible that that's what they would paint as the picture. I think it's also, and we're going to get back in the following weeks about the gun control issues and these other things that are coming. You know, if you have looked over at some of the things happening, like Coca-Cola saying, hey, they're only going to hire firms that meet racial quotas. Schumer prepared to move forward with gun control. And now we have Ocasio-Cortez and other Democrats saying the governor should resign. So it's good news to hear that March 13th, you know, a couple of months after the inauguration, that lawmakers on the House Armed Services Committee agree. The National Guard is no longer needed at the Capitol. You guys can get out of our parking spaces and go back home. We got stuff to do. Tired of seeing you guys. So, hey, guys, you know, as we kind of work through it, we're watching, paying attention. We will be back. We'll see you guys soon. Take care.